Welcome to another episode. We are marching through our mini series here focused on adding value. I hope you are enjoying it so far. We're going to go ahead and dive into this next topic, but I just want you to think about something for a second before we go all the way into this space. I want you to realize something that's super critical. Think about how many people out there in the workforce that if they just fully realized that the secret, right, the one rule, as we call it here at Legend Leaders, the one rule of successful business, of career success, if they knew that that was just to add value on a daily basis, how many people would be successful in their careers? How many people do you know would not be calling your phone once a week going, I think I'm losing my job. I'm really worried about it. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, right? Or they wouldn't be laid off from their careers, right? It would be much, much harder for organizations to do regular layoffs because the talent would be so high and the value that they would be contributing would be such next level that it'd be very, very difficult, right? Think about that for just a second. If everyone lived in the space of adding value, how would the business landscape be different? How would your organization be different? It's a pretty interesting concept, right? And so what I want you to understand is that this is the space that you've got to live in, the space of adding value. And it's my job to make sure that you not only understand why you've got to stay in that space, but to ensure that you do stay in that space. All right. So today we're going to dive into the concept of identifying your contributions. If we know we've got to add value and we believe that we are, then let's just double check it, right? Let's just make sure that we truly are contributing to the level that we need to contribute, right? Because last week we talked about the fact that we could be blinded a little bit, right? We talked about, is it the function, is it adding value because the company defined it as valuable, or are we doing it because we want to feel valuable, right? If you didn't do that, if you didn't go through and understand that piece, go take some time, listen to the episode last week. Really seek to understand because that's a valuable thing. Yet another way to define value, right, in this space. It's critically important that you understand that you must add value through the lens of the organization and not do what you feel safe or feel valuable adding, okay? Two totally different perspectives. So now today, now that we understand that concept, how do we identify our contributions? Well, if you remember, we talked about there are three areas, there are three components that the company will provide to you, right? Three areas of clarity, an open book test, if you will, on how to be successful in the organization in your role. And that was your job description, your annual performance review, right? The metrics inside of that, as well as the targets that they provide to you for your annual bonus. And so if you go and take a look at those, I want you to grab those three pieces. If you haven't looked at that since starting this series, I want you to go ahead, pause me, go grab those three components because you are going to need them to perform the function of today's episode. Now, you probably listen to different podcasts. As you're listening to me, you're like, oh, God, Katrina, you made me do a lot of work. Abso-freaking-lutely. I do make you do a lot of work. And that is by design. Why are you just going to listen to me to feel good? If you're listening to me to feel good, that's awesome. I hope that you do feel good. But I actually want you to be successful. We're going to do something together to ensure your professional success. That's what you desire. That's what you want. And so if we don't take the information that I'm sharing with you and do something with it, we've missed our chance, right? We've missed our chance. Don't take the perspective or the knowledge that I'm imparting upon you to help you understand that adding value is where you've got to live if you want to have professional success. Don't take that comprehension, that understanding, that information and not apply it and actually use it. So go get those three components. You can tell I'm a little fiery about that, can't you? Go get those three components, those three pieces of information that your organization provides to you. And I want you to take a look at them. And what I want you to do, there are two things, and I drive you to do these two things on a very regular basis. If you listen to me regularly, you're like, oh, I know what she's going to say. It's what she always tells us to do. But there's a reason for that, okay? There's a reason. It's because it works. The first thing I want you to do is you've got to do a self-assessment. take a look at each of those three and understand, how are you doing? Now, for the bonus piece, you're going to know how you're doing. Typically, a bonus is metrics. It's metric based. And so you should be able to look at the metrics and say, how's my portion of the business performing to those metrics? That is very clear. Where it may not be very clear, there's a little bit of gray, is how are you performing to your job description and how are you performing to the performance metrics inside of that performance review. However, it's still very clear. The company has defined what you must do. Now, what I want you to do is go and take a look at what the company is asking you to do and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How am I doing? Am I doing well? Am I doing subpar? Could I be doing better? Typically, the answer will be yes, I could be doing better. But what I want you to do is I want you to be honest, okay? Let's live in reality. Don't make it better than it is. Don't make it worse than it is. Neither position is going to serve you. Be honest, okay? That's step 1. Step 2, go get feedback. That's right. You're going to have a conversation, and it's got to be with someone that you trust, right? Because why would you go ask for feedback from someone that you don't trust? That's pointless. Okay, so you're going to go ask for feedback from someone that you trust, but at the same time, it's got to be someone that's not just going to tell you what you want to hear, or they're not going to tell you what you want to hear to make you feel good, right? This is not a feel-good session. This is a face the music session, okay? We have to truly understand where we are. We've got to define our baseline. If our baseline is where we want to be, then we keep it there. We keep doing the same things that we've been doing. We're contributing at a level that is appreciated by the organization, and we just keep on that path. But if we're not there, then we have to know that so that we can fix it. We have to add value, or we're not going to have a place in the organization. So let's solve for that. So again, step number 1, self-assessment. Step number 2, get the feedback. Now, when you're getting feedback, there are 2 ways that could go, right? Actually, there are probably 3 ways that could go. Either they're spot on and they agree exactly where you are. Sometimes that happens, not always. Okay, but if they do, then you've hit reality. Good for you. Okay. The other way that it could go is that you've asked for feedback and they have rated you much higher than you've rated yourself, meaning you saw your performance worse than it really is. Let that be a lesson that, you are okay. That may be a little bit of raising the bar, but you're already performing pretty well. Okay. Be kind to yourself. The other direction that it could go is the fact that you rated yourself really high because you don't really want to acknowledge the truth. Maybe a little fear is playing a part there, and they've rated you lower. Okay. Remember, in all 3 of these instances, you've already defined the person that you're going to ask. So they're not going to tell you what you want to hear, nor are they going to be a jerk and just beat you down. They're going to give you honest, candid feedback. So whatever their honest, candid feedback is versus where you put yourself, you have to acknowledge how you're rating yourself so that moving forward, you can personally identify the contributions that you're making, and it's more level set. It's more in the reality realm of where you need to be. Okay. So if you've rated yourself really high and they've got you much lower, then it's time to face the fact that you are not contributing at the level that you need to. And there's some change that has to happen. And what we've got to do in that instance is we've got to actually celebrate that. Okay. We've got to celebrate the fact that someone came and told us before it was too late, and we could resolve this and become that irreplaceable asset to the organization. This is not negative. This is, thank God moment where I can go and solve this and still be valuable and move my career forward, continue to grow, achieve that professional success, and really be where I want to be in my career. Whatever the answer is, know that that is what you're finding out in this exercise. Self-assessment and feedback. Okay. Now, whatever the feedback comes back to, whatever the self-assessment comes back to, we've either got to make a massive pivot, we've got to do a few tweaks, or we keep doing what we've been doing. Discover where you are on that pathway so that you can add value and be the asset to the organization that ensures your professional success. Now, if you want to have a conversation with anyone outside of your organization about this, right? What I'm saying is, if you want to have a chat, you've done a self-assessment, you got some feedback, you're not sure where to turn, maybe you don't know who to ask for feedback, you just have some questions, there's a little confusion there, you want some validation, hit the link in this episode, schedule some time with me, let's talk through it. You're not alone on this. Let's get you where you need to be. As always, go and be legendary.